Okay, so when I draw, I like to have some sort of public, so help me. And these are my friends. See that? So we have the bear. That's Winnie the Pooh. That's the beaver. That's Jeremy, and that's Wile E. Coyote. Let's call it a coyote. So so it looks like they are paying attention, right? So now I want to show you today the how to position the um, uh, head onto the rib cage. Connect head and rib cage. This is a question that was somebody asked me, so I want to go over it. So we can do it two ways. First, we can block in the volume of the cranium, the cranial volume, as we have seen in the past couple of movies. Then we can block in the facial volume, right? Keep it light, so if you don't like it, you can edit it. Then we can block in the cylinder of the neck. So think of the neck as a cylindrical shape, just that. Don't elaborate too much on organic forms so far. Now you just have to understand where to position the head. So now I want to attach the head to the rib cage. So try to find out the center of the base of the neck, and around it you're gonna build the top of the rib cage. So leave some space in here at this point in here, because the clavicle, so the base of the neck is not going to be right on the margin of the front of the chest. It's going to be a little bit posterior to that. So from here I can block in a marshmallow, the marshmallow of the rib cage, and that's going to be the sternum. Okay, so from here eventually I can attach the arms, etc., etc. So when I look at this, it looks a little bit too small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. See that what I was saying about editing, right? So make it a little bit bigger. Now it looks a little bit better, no? And then block in now the humeri, etc. I could do it also the other way. I could do it starting with marshmallow, right? Block in the rib cage, right? And think of this as a marshmallow shape, like that, right? Once I have this, you imagine this section here, I have the angle of the rib cage. Block in now, following the center here. See the center of the sternum, given by the sternum. Bring it over, cut over to the top plane, and here you're going to block in the base of the neck. Here you will attach the cylinder of the neck, and then over here you can block in now the cranial volume and the jawline, right? So either way, you want to consider this, and then of course the center, and then you can adjust it. When you adjust that, you can switch color maybe, and this darker color will edit whatever lines you have done before that you don't like anymore, or simply you add a little bit more detail, right? So so you could do it. Also like that now, and then of course impose over this basic structure of the stereometric rendering of the figure as volume. You can impose the organic aspect of the figure, right? So now go back to this, and we see how now here I have the head, the volume of the head. Now I'm going to mark it a little bit so you guys can see it better, right? And as I do this, I can also kind of make this a little bit more angular, right? Less spherical or like platonic volumes, etc. But a little bit more organic, right? Kind of block in the brow ridge, the nose, etc. I'm not going to block in too much of the face in here, because I want to now just focus on the neck. So we see the neck here as a basic cylinder, right? Basic cylinder, volume like that. And here, now I have blocked in more or less where the arm should be, the top of the ribcage should be, the sternum should be here, right? So now, considering this point in here, which is called sternal jugular fossa, but everybody goes for jugular fossa, right? And from here, to the top of the head of the humeri, I have the clavicle, right? The clavicle will do this, right? Move from the front to the back a little bit. So the clavicle is here. Now back in here, remember, to the back of this, below the base of the cranium, I have the mastoid process. The ear would be on top of that. But we leave the ear alone for now because we need to have clarity. So the first muscle that I block in is going to be the sternocleidomastoid, SCN. You can find all these muscles in the book in detail, right? I have detailed layers of muscles in here, and also all of these exercises further developed with further patterns of movement, etc. So also, if you guys are Japanese, you speak Japanese, you might want to find my book in Japanese, right? So so that you know. Okay, so anyway, now from here, from the base, from the mastoid process, right? I'm going to go down to the top of the sternum. So from here down to here and down to here, right? So this we have seen the sternocleidomastoid is a muscle that is divided in two segments. One segment is a more volumetric taper. The other segment start from the back in here, the posterior margin of this tapered head of the sternocleidomastoid, and it goes out like this and is flatter, right? It's flatter and does that, right? So as I mentioned in the other video, this muscle in here creates a beautiful V pattern in the neck. So now basically I have now over the cylinder in here, which I'm going to make blue just for over the cylinder in here, right? I have the sternocleidomastoid that cuts across diagonally from the back to the front. So if I had to draw this on the side view, I would draw this. So head, right? And then I would block in the neck in here, and then the base of the neck. This muscle here on the side will go across the cylinder of the neck like this, right? Basically, it divides it into an anterior portion. It divides the neck into an anterior portion and into a posterior portion. See that? Anterior triangle and posterior triangle. See that? Okay, so this should help in memorizing the pattern of the sternocleidomastoid, reducing it to basic geometric shape. So now here I have now sternocleidomastoid here like this, right? And then this volume here is created by another group of muscles which are called scalars. Scalars are very complicated. These are the scalars, right? A lot of them. So let's imagine them as a very simple conical shape like this, right? And behind that, behind this group in here, I have the trapezius. So the trapezius will go down from here, from the back of the head down here, then move to the top of the clavicle, the back of the spine of the scapula, and then to the front of the clavicle here like this. So the muscle will do this, right? But when I draw, it looks like he's doing this, right? Makes sense? So it looks like he's wrapping around the neck, right? Here. So this is the volume of the trapezius, okay? And then now I have all the three main groups, main volumes of the muscle of the neck, which are the sternocleidomastoid, the scaling group, anterior, medius, and posterior, and the levatoscapulae, and then the trapezius. Okay, so a good way of visualizing, as I was saying before, is this: block the cylinder, right, and then block in, divide the cylinder diagonally with the sternocleidomastoid. Now to the back, I have of the sternocleidomastoid, I have the scalens and the trapezius. To the front in here, I will have the thyroid cartilage, which is going to be a little bit more angular, right? And down in here, I had the jugular fossa. Right? So, think of the neck in these terms, and it will make it much easier to capture all those beautiful subtle movement of the neck. So notice how also these muscles in here are going to be oriented according to a specific patterns, radiating patterns. So the sternocleidomastoid will go down this way, right? This flat portion, the sternocleidomastoid, down this way, the scalene down this way, and then the trapezius goes down this way. So you see how they have this wrapping around the form of the cylinder of the neck, right? They all wrap around the main cylinder of the neck. So one thing I had to clarify. In the previous videos, I said something about the proportion of the head, and I said that the ratio 1 to 2. I spoke about the ratio of 1 to 2/3 versus 1 to 3/4. I am not. Maybe I was not too clear. So here we go again. Considering the height of the head, that is going to be 1, right? No matter if it's a mile, if it's a centimeter, if it's an inch, whatever. Now, once you establish this measurement here, if I want to use the 2/3 set of proportions, right? So let's do this. I establish the height of the head, right? If I want to establish now the width of the head, I can use either 2/3 or 3/4. So if I want to use 2/3, I divide this in 3 equal thirds. I take 2 of these, put it here, right? And now that's the width, and that's going to be the ratio 1 to 2/3 of the head. If I want to use the 3/4, do the same thing. Establish the size of the head, then divide it in 4 equal segments, and then take 3/4. So this, as you can see, is going to give me a rounder head, right? So that is the ratio 1 to 2/3 and 1 to 3/4. Okay, let me know if you have any specific questions.